Okay, the next thing we want to work on is how to use a triangle and t-square. Because if we're talked about having our lines exact lengths, then we got to have our lines perfectly square to each other and perfectly straight up and down or perfectly horizontal. And to do that, we're going to use triangles and t-squares. Because if we're talked about having our lines exact lengths, then we got to have our lines perfectly square to each other and perfectly straight up and down or perfectly horizontal. And to do that, we're going to use triangles and t-squares. Okay? A little formal. I'm recording as I go here, so some of this sounds real formal. It's just an introduction. This is a t-square. Okay? You've got the blade and the head. And depending on if you're left or right-handed, depends on how you use it. If you're left-handed, the head goes on the right side of your desk. So if this was the edge of my desk, the head sits like this. So you may have to scoot to one end of your table or the other. If you're right-handed, the head goes on the other side. Okay? So the trick with using the t-square is, I'm left-handed, so I'll put it on the right side. With my right hand, I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm going to make sure that head is pulled against the table. And then I can slide it up and down with my fingers. But I'm always kind of pulling the head of the t-square up against the edge of the table. Okay, so you can practice that. It doesn't take much pressure. But we don't want it drifting off. You're always pulling a little bit of pressure on that t-square. Pulling it against the table so that we can draw a line. Now in your kit you had two different types of triangles. So t-square draws horizontal lines. Triangles are made to draw vertical lines or angled lines. First triangle we'll look at is the big one. It's a 45-degree triangle. That means this angle here and this angle here are 45 degrees. So I can draw a vertical line, I can draw a 45-degree line. Okay. The other triangle is a 30-60 triangle. This angle here is 30 degrees. This angle here is 60 degrees. So I can draw pretty much all the common angles I need with these three pieces of equipment. So if you'll take your piece of paper that you've been scribbling on some, because this will be a practice sheet anyway. So I know how to measure a line a certain length. I know the tools that I need to draw straight lines, t-squares and triangles. T-squares draw horizontal lines, triangles do everything else. Now I need to show you how to set up your paper so it's square to your t-square, so that this edge of the paper lines up with this edge of your t-square. Okay? So what you do is you put your paper down. Make sure it's not too far from the head of your t-square. Okay? You're going to pull your t-square over, make sure it's tied up against the edge. I'm going to take a little piece of tape, about an inch long. I got a piece of tape. I'm going to tear that into smaller pieces. I need 4 pieces out of that inch piece. Okay? T-square's up against the edge of the table. I move my paper until it lines up with my T-square edge. Then I can take the bottom corners. Okay? Okay, so I get my T-square, it's pulled up against the edge. I align the edge, excuse my head. I can tape the bottom. Just little pieces, it doesn't take very much. Then I can take the top. Now I know that the edge of my paper is perfectly aligned with the edge of the desk because it lines up with the T-square. Okay? I want you to take, I want to use a little triangle so you can see it better because it's orange. I want you to take your 45-degree triangle and we're going to draw some vertical and horizontal lines. So have your T-square and your 45-degree triangle. And there, you have 2 different sets of triangles in your kit. One comes in a little plastic sleeve. And then you got some big ones that are a smoky color. Use your big ones. These are drafting triangles. The other ones that are all together, those are for building models because you never want to use a sharp thing on your triangles. It nicks them and then your lines have bumps in them. So when you're drafting, you're using your bigger set of triangles. When you're building a model, you can use the ones where they have blue lines on them or green lines or red lines. They're all different colors. Use the bigger ones. Those are your good ones. Those are the ones you try to keep safe. Okay? So if I want to draw a horizontal line, with my fingers I pull the head against the edge of the desk. I hold my pencil. Look how straight up and down my pencil is. I'm not doing this. Not doing, the lefty hook. I want my pencil straight up and down. I want to hold it in my fingers like this. I don't want this death grip. We're not doing lettering. We're drafting. Because to get a nice line, I have to rotate the pencil. So watch, see up there on the screen how I'm rotating with my thumb and my fingers? So I hold it straight up and down. And I can draw a straight line. That's all the same width. I'm twisting that pencil with my fingers as I go. So you can practice a few lines here that are vertical. Different lengths, it doesn't matter. Just practice that. Make sure you're pulling the T-square against the head of the desk all the time with your right hand or with your left hand. I pull, then I draw the line. Holding that pencil straight up and down. Not like this. Not underneath. Straight up and down. Now, the triangle, if we draw vertical lines, we're pulling T-square again with maybe your thumb or your palm of your hand. Make sure that T-square is nice and square up against the edge of the table. Then with my other fingers, I'm moving the triangle. So now I can draw vertical lines. Always keeping pressure with the T-square and making sure that triangle's down on top of that t-square. Do angles, same way.